Right? You should. You should, man. I'll have to exchange that. Oh, I don't know how to, you're asking me, ask Bob, how to like use the speakers, Bob. I don't know how to do that. Those speakers. I have no idea. They're asking me about it. We know. I'm no technology. And Bob is looking at me. What is she talking about? Bob says we need money. Come on, I like what Bob is saying. We need more money. We need more openings. How was the week, everybody? Good. Yeah? Yes, was that good or was that a good way? My expressive over here. How are you feeling? How is the market feeling? What's going on with the market?
Yeah.
Anybody some feedback? Slow down? Like, tell me more about that, Bob. Slowing down in terms of people that are coming in. Okay. What about inventory? More inventory, right?
Yeah.
I'm seeing also like on our board, we're having that third side of the board. There's never been this many like filling up already. So that tells me that, and less escrows. So that's what's telling me that one, the properties are staying on the market a little longer. And I don't know where we have to watch that, what that little means, little longer, right? So that one, and then second, they're more, people, the properties are coming on the market. A few more properties are coming in. The prediction I shared with you about a month ago that there is the prediction for this year is that it's going opposite of a normal real estate year. What's a normal real estate year? 40% of listings are usually taken at the beginning of the year, January through March. 25% are taken June, July. That's why we're having a good, healthy 2 months of listings, right? The 20%, and 25% is usually third quarter. And third quarter is like, now it's like total of that is 85%, but that's because 15% will still be listed May, September, right? So now this year is going the opposite. Only 25% of the listings came up on the market January through March. June, July is staying same, 20%. And then what the prediction is that the 40% is left for the last quarter and the next spring. So I want to prepare you. That's why I started a month ago, that even if there is some feeling of slowing down or, just people are not coming out, because the summer we take listings, but a lot of people are on vacations and they're not as much into making moves or, changing during summer. They only enjoy vacations, but the listings do come in the summertime because that's where the seller think is the highest level of real estate.
Open houses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Once, and also asking, that's saying that the closing costs are higher. Well, have you got any offers yet?
Not yet.
Okay. One person.
Yeah.
And now what are the open house down the street? Did get anybody today?
Well, this is where now you need to be more studying the market. What are areas that turn around faster? So if you see that the homes at a certain level of price, they're staying on the market, don't do open houses there. You got to really be careful with your time and where you spend it. Because in each city, like I have friends all the way to where like at 7 million price range, those prices are absolutely not, those homes are absolutely staying on the market for a very long time. And the sellers are still like at that level, still thinking, well, I want 7 million, even though he has already like 3 offers at 6.5 million. He can't afford it, just hard to convince him to just take 500,000 less. Property still listed. Each area has their own hot price, what is that, like where all the properties go fast, and that price level, yeah, the price range that still go well, and then the price that will stay on the market. So right now we got to be very, very studious of the market in each area you look at. It's going to be some extra work to really see in the cities you're working what price point goes faster and what price point stays on the market. That's really good then, but that's a really good idea. And based on motivation, are they going to take your advice? Because I don't know what those price reductions are, Bob, but did they do a really good price reduction instead of taking like little steps at a time? Well, 50 grand could be a lot for a certain price range. So let's say if they have showings but no offers, they're at about anywhere between 5 to 10%. 5% of 1.2 million is 52,000. It's 60,000. 10% is 120,000. So there's somewhere in between there. If also a 50,000 price reduction that was a 5% is not good enough, they got to very fast go to the next price reduction that makes a difference. I always have told our agents, if you go for a price reduction, go for a big one or leave it standing at the same price. Because buyers will only get their attention if you have a good price reduction. If you go with low increments, they're going to wait till that really, really bottom price is going to be for you. If we have very few showings and no offers, we're at 10%. If we have showings and we have a healthy amount of showings but no offers, we're at a 5 to 7%. That's what, and again, those are approximate numbers based on years of studying. So that's what's happening. I wanted to kind of like get your feedback. So it sounds like I was in an hour today of update on the market, and that was the whole, the same message, that the inventory is increasing, the days on the market is slowly increasing. But that's not necessarily bad, you guys. We're not used to it, but a normal market for many, many years, till this craziness of the past cycle has been 11 years in the up and up. We've never had this long of a cycle, right? I mean, Tracy.
Off a little bit now. We're leveling off.
Right, but have we ever had this long of a up?
No, we've made history in so many ways. Since
right.
2008, we've made history over and over and over again, right? So that's why.
Well, they're saying right now that they're comparing to 1993, 1995 type of slowing down in the number of units sold. Because do you guys know how many homes are sold in 2020? Where the decline of the number of listings started? I mean, it was a big dip actually. It didn't start, but it was like really big dip. That was bad. I didn't get that out. Hey, where's your mind at? Did you hear all these like smirks? You didn't have to, Daisy. What have you been doing with them for a whole week? Oh my God. I gotta start retraining. Oh man. All right. 3.1 million. Let's move on from that.
A 1.9. And then a 1.
They're all over the place.
1.4 they sold that we, the 3.2. But they said it would have been on the other side of your would have sold already. Location has cost you regardless of-
Location and price range. I mean, 3.2 million, it's a lot more money. But your Belinda, again, that tells you that your Belinda, the price that goes fast is 1.2 to 1.4. You start going to 2 million, maybe not as fast, right? Yeah. That tells you, well, if you think your Belinda at 1.2, not too bad. We have Whittier average price at 900. I mean, you know, for 300,000 more people go in Orange County, or Belinda is very well known for a very good city, a very safe, very really great schools. So it doesn't surprise me that 1.2 to 1.4 goes really fast, right? So that's why the studying of the market. So 3.1 million in 2020, just so you can see, the dip was from 6 million to 3.1 million in 2020. And then now it's going up to, prediction for this year, which is pretty good actually, you guys, is 4.3 million to 4.6. Prediction for next year is 5.6. So it's going to be a great year predicaments, right? So we gotta be now. That's why it's so important to push through the tough times, right? We've been going through some really tough. 2023 was rough, and still the first half of 2024. But just so you know, not that it makes us feel better in the sense of financial side of it, but everybody is going through the same thing. Also, remember, prediction is going to be a lot of people that are going to leave the business. 73% of all realtors, think about this number, 73% of all realtors in the country, based on NAR survey, are very unsure about will they be in the business in the next 2 years. That's a huge number. So that's another opportunity for you to push through these times and be out there and create relationships. So when the next starting to go up again, you're going to be the most skills and the people that created most relationships. Because more than ever, there are two things needed: people that create very strong relationships and a high level of professionalism, which these changes are forcing upon us.
Mary, can I ask a question? So you said that the 4 million number that you quoted, that was for sales for 2024. Is that NAR's prediction?
Prediction of not just NAR, it's in like a general of people that are influential in real estate. That is the prediction.
And then for 5 prediction.
5 point, yes.
Did they give any?
I'll tell, hold on. It's, yes, 20, I remembered it right. But wow, I've maybe 4.6 million, it's predicted for this year, and then 5.3 million for next year. So it's still far from 6.1, but a lot better than 3.1, right? Even this year. Why? We still are expecting a really good fourth quarter. Interest rates are in 2023, interest rate 8%. Now, do you see why it was so tough for so many of us, right? We felt a lot of pain financially. Every one of us did, as individual agents and as companies, because 3.1 million is almost 50% drop in transactions. That's a lot. And then interest rate was 8%. Now, the prediction for 2024, predictions were at about 5.5, under 6. Remember at the beginning of the year, we talked about that. That was kind of wrong. And they are now predicting it's going to end at about 6.67. So that's an average between Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and NAR predictions. 2025 average of the three, when they were asked for predictions, it's 6.25. So a drop of that interest rate, an increase of listings, is going to create more transactions for you. It's just going to be a matter of you be highly skilled and have a lot of relationships with people. So when they're ready, you're the clearly chosen person. Okay. they're saying that right now we have about 37.5% more listings than what the normal was till 2023. So Bob, to your, what you just shared with us, 37.5 is a lot to have more in inventory. It's not new listings coming on a monthly basis, increase in inventory. So that's a lot. So, but still the demand is very high because we are not being able to beat inflation. And there are two things for that. It's interest rates still stay, they got immune. So 6.75, now people are immune to that higher interest and they're still continuing, to come on the market and buy. And second, it is the rents are going really high. I mean, majority of renters are saying that their rent is anywhere between 30 to 50% of their income. I mean, that's a lot. But and the rents have increased by 30% since 2020, and their pay has not increased by 30% in 3 years. It's just not possible. And also the renters don't have any deductions, they're they're not getting anything in taxes. So it's really creating some pressure on the renters, but it's still going, it's really hot. Who is having properties to rent or has people who are looking to rent? And it's hard to find, right? And yeah, Daisy. Mm-hmm. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. And that is the reason why also prices are not going down, because the demand even for renters is very high. So people keep buying. 34. Oh my goodness. Wow. Another thing, millennials now are moving in, and I'm even seeing it. All my daughter's friends are getting married. I'm like, but I helped one. I actually referred one of my daughter's friends in San Diego. I got a referral check of $5,000, you guys. Even referring them in San Diego is really good money. But she's getting married. She is getting married next year, and her fiance bought a home, and she's 27. So I guess that group is entering. They're creating families and entering the business. So make sure you're in touch with those people. So three things: there'll be a significant decrease in number of agents, which I shared with you, and then discounted fees and cafeteria style agents are going to be common ground. So you got to be really, really good at learning how to create value. Are you when I say cafeteria style, do you know what I mean? Anybody? Okay, cafeteria style is like a menu. So if you use me to write the offer, it's gonna be $500. If you use me just for MLS, 200 bucks. If you use me for MLS and writing the offer, 1,200 bucks, right? So there's gonna be like a menu of services that they can also bundle. I don't believe in it. I don't think that is going to be professional, but they're going to be out there. So we need to be aware. So we are better prepared to learn how to deliver value. I mean, they've been around. I mean, God help you sell was since I started, and they charge only $500 since 1995. So these are not new things. You've seen other people that I probably, because it's being recorded, I'm not going to mention name, but they say flat fee, right? So, I mean, it's been around for forever, but now it's going to be just a little bit of a twist, right? To where now they're going to be those, they're even saying that we're going to see even attorneys saying, hey, I'll help you with a contract for a certain fee. So, but keep in mind, seller are going to need to be represented and buyers are going to need to be represented. And the transaction is very complicated. So they're going to need us. It's just a matter of how good you're going to be to show that to them. Because I see it in escrow, transactions are going crazy. My girls are spending hours and hours, what's normal, to do like checking, because now people have sold properties 3, 4, 5 times, and now there are title issues and all kinds of research that they're needing to do to push the transaction forward. Transactions are getting harder. They're not getting easier. Disclosures are getting harder. There are more disclosure, more, things to be in litigations for. And what we were told today is that part of why all these lawsuits that happen, and now it makes sense, is that it was 11 years of very good real estate where agents didn't need to be good at presenting and didn't need to be good at negotiating. I mean, I've heard Dom many times when we had to do no appraisals, no home inspections, and he was like, well, it's fine today, but then 2 years from now, what did I get for this money? And I didn't negotiate right. And they have 3 years, Dom, right? Or 5, 3 strong years for lawsuits. So all these lawsuits came as an increase in unprofessional agents not knowing what they're doing and coming in and didn't have to, really learn much because properties were selling in 48 hours. Okay, so I want you to share all that so you are more like you can share with people some of this knowledge. And I was going to also share the script that was given to us at the Mike Ferry, but I have it and I'll share it with you another time because we don't have time. And Dom has some changes he wants to share with you, but I'll have it ready and copied for everybody to explain how to talk to sellers about the new changes because you're going to be asked about it. And actually, Melissa used this script when sellers were wanting to know what's happening, and it worked really well and got the listing. But okay, let's go through what's happening for. Oh, the video is not on. Can you turn the video on for me? Okay. Okay, Stephanie, I just need to go to what the slideshow. You guys are looking at me like, yeah, just go to the next, next one. And let's go through the production before Dom okay. So we had these new listings since we last saw each other. Peter got a listing in Hacienda Heights on Farmstead, 3-bedroom, 1 bath for $580, and another one on Fieldgate, 3-bedroom, 1 bath for $749. As far as I know, they're still available because I went and checked with escrow what they have opened, and those were not open there. Julie got a new listing in Idlewild, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath for $499. Seems like a good price, but it's Idlewild after all. And Melissa, give Melissa a big round of applause. Expired listing. She's been calling expires, and finally, after so many months of hard work, learning the scripts and objections, she landed her first expired listing in your whole career, right? Ain't her. And in Glendora for $749 and took it $50,000 less than the last price. So I was able to get it to a more sellable price. So congratulations. Did we talk about your listing, Daisy? Okay, then let's talk about La Puente. We didn't talk about that listing, right? Okay. Daisy got a listing, and what is that, Sphere referral?
Yes, yes, it is. Yes.
So- Or others?
And it's a 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, permitted. Bedrooms unpermitted. The garage has been converted without permits to live in the space. It is already in talks with them. They're trying to get from bedroom for 1 bedroom, the garage. They don't. But yeah, it's a 615 asking price.
And
That's
that,
potential.
if there is permits, will the price go up or no? If you get permits, will the price go up or will stay the same? then it's better. Awesome.
Right now, it's 6:15. Oh, yeah. 55.
Yes, that is a really, and it's in La Puente, right? Yeah. And did you have competition with that one? How was you had a really like, the sellers were like, we're ready, or you followed up for a very long time,
Yeah.
right? There you go. So you got to have that kind of follow up, you guys. So when they're ready, then it was like, okay, come list me.
Yeah.
So it's a come list me 2 years later or 3 years of work, right? So stay in touch with your people. I beg you, because the time comes. And then it was like, all right, let's do it. No, not even a presentation needed because they trust her, right? Wonderful. Please, yes. Yes, please. Registered listing. So the one you just got is active already in La Puente for 615. And then you have the registered one in Pico Rivera. 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And when will it be active? By the end of the month. By the end of August. The beauty of what she did there is that we don't want to let them not, oh, we'll list in end of August. In this kind of market, those that are really skilled are going to call and are going to convince them to get the listing. So what did you do, Daisy? Yes. From June, yeah, when we first talked, yeah. And then you get also, I also, when I'm getting the listing north of Mar Vista, I told them, give me a week to do the pictures, because I don't want to put it on the market. It doesn't have pictures. So, yeah. So great job. Remember, there is a registered, right? That you can do registered, and you can do it for 3, 4, 5 months if you wanted to, right? Forever if it's registered, unlimited.
So, and if you're listening, no one else can use the property, you have the contract. Now, that way, if you can't take advantage of the.
21
So that
days.
was ideal.
Yeah, so you have you have a listing that it's like you have heads up. So if you can call your sphere, yeah, you have, please take advantage of that. But registered also great to get the listing so nobody else will take it away from you. With the registered?
Right. You have to have a client that has a signed agent.
Got it.
Signed agent.
So what you're saying is you can't call Sphere, say I have this pocket listing.
Want to have that.
Okay. So I say call, knowing you'll have the buyer agent agreement signed with it. Sorry, Dom. I'm sorry. Did I break the rule?
No.
Okay.
It's it's old school pocket listing.
Yeah.
Have that attitude, but within the office.
Well,
Literally, you can't talk about it over a beer at your by rule.
right.
In the office with the signing, allowed to discuss it. That's
And
the rule.
I would even call Sphere to say, hey, I'm running in opportunities all the time. Are you looking to buy? Because if you are, I want to talk to you. Where do you want to buy? What's the price range? And then once you know that could be in the area, then sign an agreement and then talk to them about it. There you go. There you go. You're really, I love it. I love it. It's a great strategy. Great way to do it. But that's how I would approach Sphere without a signed agreement, that you run into opportunities all the time in all kinds of cities. Have you thought of buying? Do you know anybody who's thinking of buying? And then see what they're looking for and sign that agreement, then you're free to go. That would be me. Now, hopefully that's within rules. Okay. All right. Any other listing? All right, congratulations to all who got listings. New escrows. It's pretty cool. It's 2 weeks. Oh, we could do a little bit better. Did you like that? Okay. Daniel put Glendora in escrow. Melissa has a double. What a month for you. A double ender on that listing in LA. That was incorrect. Lisa put Riverside seller in escrow. Daniel, again, for him, both listings went in escrow. Julie got another buyer. Julie's almost having a baby, so she's having a good month too. She had 2 closings and 1 opening. And Alvar and Maria just put today in escrow their LA listing, so it's a double ender for them. So hey. We're stuck at 8 for the month. It's the 21st. I need your help, right? We got to have at least 8 more. Who has a maybe escrow? I'll take maybes. Melissa? All right. Yes. Maybes. I'll take any maybe at this point. All right. Closings are really good, which is great. I look at the openings because that tells me how we're going to be in August, right? But the closings have been very healthy. Thank you, God. Daniel Huerta, again, he's having a great month too. Bright Avenue closed. Anthony, great closing month, had 2 closings, the Sousa one and the Bell Gardens. Mandy closed 1 in Whittier. Roberto closed his in Linwood. Roberto. Ruby and Emma, oh my God, closed the LA. That was a miracle of miracles. You know, I've just, bless you, child, because what you went through. And Julie closed Moreno Valley. John closed Lake Elsinore, and Alvar and Maria closed Whittier Chestnut. So we had a good 2 weeks of closings. And we have 3 more that I don't know right now, but 3 more are on Christopher's desk. So that's a good 2 weeks. All right. Sorry, it took a long time, but that's what happens when I'm out of the office.
Good.
I missed you all. I missed my daily routine, you know? All right. Dom, it's all yours.
We're not going to hit you with any of the new,
Go back.
the
to-
new issues regarding
I don't know if you can see.
buyer broker agreement or anything. So I got something to throw at you that's a little different. But it's regarding the SPQ, the seller property questionnaire. Slight adjustment to it. I don't know if you can see that very well, but page 1 of the seller property questionnaire, they ask, this property is a duplex, triplex. You need a SPQ for anything 1 to 4 units. And if you have 4 units, you need an SPQ for each unit. You need a TDS for each unit. No? Yeah. So just we'll throw it out there now. You're doing units, a duplex, a triplex, a fourplex. That's 2, 3, or 4 TDSs, 2, 3, or 4 SPQs. Because the argument is unit 1 could be a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. Unit 2 could be a 1-bedroom, 1 bath. They're different. Or the other argument is they're all 4 2-bedroom, 1 bath. One may have a garbage disposal, one may not. One may have crown molding, one may not. So there are different properties. All 4 will not be identical. So you do need SPQ, TDS for each one. That's been standard for a long time, guys, but I just wanted to reiterate that. The new part here is on page 2, and it's going to include the new flipper rule, flipper law that went into play July 1st, 18 days old. Under TDS, under the letter F, for 7F, it asks whether the purchase of the property within 18 months of accepting offer has been previous purchase has been purchased within that last 18 months. If so, it's a flip. And you're going to have to have an addendum or a spec sheet, and you're going to have to state all the repairs that have occurred on the property. And on top of that, you'll have to also include all the contractors and all the contractors' phone numbers on this spec sheet. And if there's any permits, you need to attach the permits to the SPQ. If there are no permits, of course, then you'd have to disclose that you did work without permits. So, little interesting. The concern from the contractors is that now I buy a property that's been flipped. They had 4 contractors in there, and a contractor is someone that's hired by a general contractor as well. So just because you have a general contractor, he subs it out. We have to get all that information. You just can't throw the GC in there, the general contractor, and think you're safe. So it kind of opens the door for your buyer. Oh, I got a crack in my tile in the bathroom. They pull up the SPQ. Who is responsible for the tile? You're going to have that gentleman's name and number. So we'll see how that's going to work out. They could probably call as long as they want if don't know what the response is going to be. Let's say I'm the contractor. You call me, hey, the toilet's leaking. Okay. Well, there's a lot of those guys out there. You run the better Bureau of Business, and you look at them, there's a lot of C guys out there. Doesn't affect their business, unfortunately. So it may not do you a great deal of benefit of having it, but in case you had to take them to court, take them to small claims court, you have that process. You at least have a name, a license number, and a phone number. So it's just information. It's disclosure. So that is the flipper law. Anything that has been purchased within the last 18 months and you're reselling it, you need to disclose those items. And then we've talked about this tons of times. We want to add it since we're talking about the SPQ. Under 8B of the SPQ, it states the existence of solar power system. If you have it, you're going to check the box that says yes. You must attach a solar advisory. And the solar advisory is very easy. It's solar. So if you have that, you need to have your seller disclose who the solar company is, who services it, if it's leased, if it's not leased, what the monthly payments are, what the payoff is. So you need to have that solar disclosure in there as well. So those
That's
are,
a great thing.
it is, it's good.
Sorry, I have-
It helps title and helps escrow.
And we have a form that you guys, where the seller can fill out all that information with the seller.
Yeah.
And Get to escrow, make it easy.
Makes it easy on everybody.
It's
So
so good.
kind of,
We-
so take a
we
look at the
suffer in
SPQ.
escrow.
Not tons of changes, but look at it so you're familiar with 7F and read the information they want you to get from the contractor. And I have a friend who's a general contractor. He went down to pull a permit recently. The cities are requiring him to almost complete the same form now, where he has to list all his contractors. And I'll tell you what he did. He got tired of dealing with the city. He just put his name through everything. So he's taking responsibility. A lot of these general contractors sub everything out. You could have a list of 10 contractors. So your sellers are going to have to disclose that. Again, litigation for the state of California. That's why we have this.
Thank you.
That's what I got for you guys.
All right. Tracy, I'm gonna send you off up there.
Tracy.
All right,
That's
good morning,
right.
everyone. Yeah, go right ahead. You have a question?
You don't have to do all that. Nope, wait 20 months. It's just like if someone dies in your property 3 days in one day. What? Yeah. Yeah. Those are just days we have. So if you have a bad GC, wait 18 months.
18 months and 1 day.
Yeah.
Did you need that, Tracy, or are you gonna speak? Okay, I'm gonna turn the lights on then. Everybody, make sure your eyes don't hurt.
Good to see you all again. It's been a little while. I was supposed to be out the last month or so, but I got stuck in Dallas when there was potentially a tornado, so it cut us my out. Sorry for that, not making it last time, but I made it home the
Yeah.
next day.
Yes,
and
thank
I got
God.
it. And being from California, tornado, seeing the sky, what it looks like, there's a, it's pretty, I mean. it was
Scary.
pretty scary. All of that. We're used to that, I guess. We have more earthquakes here, but we don't have tornadoes. That's a whole other thing. Sky looks really unique. For any of you that haven't seen it before, sky is black at the top and brown at the bottom. I've never
Oh,
seen that. Those operations. So Mary asked me to talk today about ADUs, the old and new laws, but also I'm going to touch on another law that she had a concern about or was curious about, and that's Prop 19, Prop 13, and Prop 60. And so I think what I'll do is I'll touch on those first and how they all are connected and what you can think about and be aware of right now, what's happening right now. So first and foremost, Prop 19, Prop 60, Prop 13, all those propositions, four of them is the reassessment of property taxes. We can't talk about the reassessment of property taxes without talking about or starting with Prop, to me, without starting with Prop 13. So Prop 13 went into effect. You'll always hear, as long as it's in effect, we're going to hear about Prop 13, references to Prop 13. So it's good for everybody, whether you're a newbie or a veteran agent, you know what Prop 13 is. It went into effect in 1978. I was 13 years old when it went into effect. And I have to say, even at 13, for some reason, I was really aware of Howard Douglas and Prop 13. What 13-year-old is aware of tax law that's been getting ready to go into effect? There was so much on the news about it that even for a teenager when it went into effect, we were aware of it. What it did, what Prop 13 did in California.
Tracy, I'm sorry. Tracy, you there?
Law
Can you hear me?
for us to have a.
Tracy and Mary?
That will only go up less than 2% a year in our value. So let's say if I bought a property for $150,000.
Tracy, Mary, can you hear us?
The assessed value that I pay the property tax not go up more than that for 30 years. I could essentially, thank you. I could essentially, if I owned for 30 years and I bought for 150, I might be paying property taxes based on about 200,000 versus what the property is worth today, which is close to $1 million. If somebody bought property 30 years ago for 150, today would probably be worth about $1 million, I would guess. That's our average price right now, right? So without Prop 13, I would be paying taxes based on the $1 million value. Prop 13 controls the value from going up, again, more than 2% per year. So that's why if you own property for a long time in California, you have those lower property taxes. My father-in-law passed away right before Christmas last year. He bought his house for about $100,000. He was paying taxes based on about $175,000 value. The valuation that was put on it, the market value today is about $1.1 million. So if he had been paying taxes based on that, it would be more like 12,000, 13,000 versus the 2,000 that he was paying. That's Prop 13. Grab my water. I don't know. Let me grab my water here. I don't know which states have a control on, you know, the assessed valuation and then in turn the taxes are affected. I don't know which states in the United States have that and which don't. I'm not familiar with California's tax laws, but I know that California, certainly, that's one of our great benefits. We have lots of taxes here in California, right? So that's an understatement. So, so the property tax, that Prop 13 is really important for homeowners. It's ultimately, you know, really affects whether a person can even afford to live at a house or not, afford the mortgage and the taxes. So it benefits, particularly if you've been owning the property for a very long amount of time. So with Prop 13 in play in the 70s, then later came 58 and 193. Laws, Props 58 and 193. Those are the propositions where if I'm a parent and I grant to my child, they don't get reassessed. Their property taxes were not reassessed. That is the old law, 58 and 193. Also, there were the laws 60 and 90 that you were asking about. Those were the laws if I sold my property and I had a low tax base because I've owned it for a long time.
and I qualified, I could take that low tax base to a new property, but I could only do it once in a lifetime. That was 60/90. 60/90 and 58 and 193 have all been replaced. They're gone. A lot of agents right now still refer to Prop 60. It is gone. 60, 90, 58, and 193, they are all gone. So just be aware that those laws are no longer in existence. It's Prop 19 that replaced all of those. Prop 13 is still in play because that's what keeps our taxes low, or at least if you own a property for many, many years, it keeps that valuation from going up too quickly, right? And then in turn, your taxes from being raised. So Prop 13 is in play. It affects now, and that's why Prop 19 exists, is because of that low value from Prop 13. Prop 19, what it did is this. Went into effect just in the last few years. What Prop 19 did, and we talked about this probably 2 years ago when it first went into effect. I came out and talked about it. Prop 19 is something all of you should know about. What it did for the 60/90 portion of the taxes is it changed where if I'm a homeowner and I want to take my low tax base because I've owned my property for a while and I want to take it to the next property that I purchase, I can do that now 3 times. Before it was only one. With 60/90, I could only do that once. A homeowner can now do this 3 times in their lifetime, not just once. And if they did it once before, they can still do it 3 more times with Prop 19. All homeowners should know that. Your real estate agents, I would say, remember that little bit of information because use our flyer on Prop 19, those little tips, because those are good talking points with homeowners. Did you know you can move and take that low base with you if you qualify, if you've owned the property for a while? You may certainly save money on taxes on your new home by using Prop 19. But not only can you use it 3 times that law in your lifetime instead of just once, but you can also move anywhere in the state, which is huge. Prop 19 was huge for that. Before with 60/90, you could move in LA County and buy in LA County. With Prop 19, you can sell anywhere in the state and buy anywhere in the state. That's a big deal. I could sell here and move to San Francisco, take my low base with me, right? So you can move within the state. Again, very important for homeowners to know. If a homeowner wants to move near their grandkids in another area, Northern California or something, they can do that now, take that low base with them. So that's Prop 19 portion that replaced the old 60/90. Now, those are beneficial aspects. But with regards to Prop 19 and the parent to child portion that replaced the old 58 and 193, that is what everybody is in an uproar about. And that's what is being challenged, that particular portion of Prop 19. The old 58 and 193, a parent could grant to their children multiple properties of any value, and potentially they could be excluded from reassessment of property taxes if they filed for that, if the child did, even if they didn't live at the property. They were single family properties, even if they didn't live at the property. And they could even do that with units up to $1 million previously. Today, that's all gone. That is all gone. There's only one exclusion, and that is a parent's primary residence being transferred to a child's primary residence. That is allowed for exclusion. If a child applies for that, they could be excluded, but now only one property, not multiples, and not any value. If there's a much higher value, they could end up increasing the taxes a little bit. So 58 and 193, those got replaced. It's very controversial. A lot of people are really upset. I know an agent who owned multiple properties, granted to her kids 3 properties. One of them got reassessed. No, 2 got reassessed and 1 didn't. So one child, it was excluded because it was the parent's primary residence and the kid's primary residence. They were excluded from reassessment. They kept the parents' low taxes from 30 years earlier from when she bought. The other 2 kids, that was not the parent's primary residence, those got reassessed. Primary residence. So primary residence, and you can only have one primary residence. If you say a property is your primary residence, you can only have one of those. You can't have multiple primary residences, right? And they go through a whole process of determining if it's your primary residence. So it's a big deal. And so 58 and 193, because of the controversy, some homeowners have gotten attorneys and are trying to challenge that law, like this agent that I know, who transferred to 3 children, 3 properties, 2 got reassessed. She hired an attorney and they were trying to challenge that. And I don't know that she's had any success with that. There was a group of people trying to get enough signatures to get Prop 19 on the ballot for November for repeal. I'm sure for that particular portion, they were not successful in that. And so we will not see that on the ballot. And they're saying now maybe not for years. So that portion that is controversial, you all should be aware of that. The reason why I would give you a heads up on that as well is because if you ever get asked for advice by a client or a family member or a friend asks you, can you help me with a deed from parent to child? Be really, really cautious now because a lot of those deeds trigger reassessment of property tax that is not reversible. And it could affect whether they can even afford to keep the home. It's a big deal. There are services that we could give you references to that they can talk to somebody or an attorney for that advice. But just know how, yeah. We'll get that to you and we'll also get you the reminder.
Kids trying to.
Yeah.
decision for kids.
And
once
because,
it's done, it's never undone, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't go back to, oh, let me take the
Right.
property back and give a grand deed back to the parent.
that's right. So say a parent deeds to a child, the child can't just deed back to the parent to avoid that reassessment. If they made a mistake, it's what's done is done. You're right. And it's not reversible. So it's a big deal. Just be cautious, understand Prop 19, the basics of it more than anything. And maybe we'll come back and do a full talk on Prop 19. We'll make sure to send some literature out. That's a reminder about what it is and the old law versus the new law. Our flyer or our handout is 6 pages, goes over old and new law, both portions. And it's super straightforward, very simple. The most important basics are in that handout. So we'll make sure to get that to you. Also, the Q&A from the state of California on both portions of the law, I could resend. I think I've sent it once before, but I'll resend it. So if your clients have any questions about Prop 19, you have a good resource from the state to send to them. I think that's great too. Because Prop 19, now we understand with it them not getting enough signatures with Prop 19, it will be in effect for a long time. And again, the one portion parent to child they took away from, and with the other portion that replaced 6090, where you can take your low base with you as a seller to a new property if you qualify, that really got broadened. And that's what I would, if I were you all, be talking about with homeowners is beneficial.
But if the parent passes away, that's not.
So same thing.
What is
Any
the same thing?
transfer from parent to child, whether it's due to death or an actual deed while they're alive, is still considered a transfer.
And even if it's
Yes. So funny that you say that, because just this morning I heard something from an attorney, and they're not usually forthcoming about this aspect, maybe due to liability, I don't know. But an attorney said, be aware, even if you put your property in a trust, if you were to pass away, that's still ultimately considered sort of a transfer date, and the assessor uses it as a transfer date. The date of death of the owner, even if you're holding title in a trust, if nobody else is deeded onto that property, if there hasn't been any other transfer, that date of death is considered a transfer. The assessor's office finds out about it, they could reassess the property to the current market value taxes, and they will use the date of death as the date that they reassess the property. I've heard some attorneys say, well, there are ways to avoid reassessment. A trust could help with that if you die and you hold title in a trust. But I've seen so many supplemental tax bills generated from the county tax collector's office, where the assessor has raised the value on the property due to the date of death to the market value, that we know that happens.
That date, not today.
They would use the date of death, and they would go back to that date and use that as the trigger date for reassessment. Would it continue to go up? It would. And would it be most date of death when we're talking about trust-owned property is in the last year or last 2 years. So that's primarily what I see. It would be pretty much current market value. So yeah. Yeah, it would have been triggered at that time. No, I know. And so, okay, so Prop 19, whether it's us personally, our parents, our children, or our clients professionally, it's a lot to think about for everybody, just like trust and some of the other topics that we talk about, because it can affect us personally and professionally.
So what happens if the property is given to two kids, one of which lives in the property, the other doesn't.
My understanding, as long as one of them lives at the property, but that is in the Q&A section, again, that we'll make sure to get to, because there's lots of little nuances that homeowners ask about that portion, the parent to child. And so that Q&A, I think it's like 30 questions and answers on parent to child alone, that one section, and we have like 25 more on the base value transfer, a separate questionnaire. I'll make sure you get both. Yep. Yeah, okay, so those are super good resources. The resources we're sending to you are always coming from the source, from the state of California or from the assessor. So you can rely on them, you can share them with people, you can, know that the liability is not on your shoulders because it's coming directly from the source. Now today, initially what I was going to talk about was ADUs. So we're going to just touch on that really quickly as well, because, Prop 19 was so much controversy lately. Did it make it on the ballot or not? So we wanted to touch base on that it didn't make it on the ballot. But let's talk about ADU laws, because those as well are controversial. They're interesting. There's a doozy that just went into effect in January of this year, which I want to touch base on. So let's start with, when we're talking about ADUs, let's talk about the existing laws that were already existing before 2024. In the last 6-7 years, there have been a few laws that have been passed relating to ADUs. Essentially, just to cut through it for you all, what they have done through these 3 or 4, maybe even 5 new laws relating to ADUs is they keep making it a little bit easier to build an ADU, the process easier, the process more transparent, certain requirements of building and safety or building and planning. When they interact, when they communicate with homeowners, they have to be clearer now. They have to give direction to them as to how to resolve issues if they don't get their permits approved, that kind of thing. So, and your average single, okay, so when I started in title insurance a few decades ago, a single family home was a single family home. A home zoned single family was just that, single family. And there was no question about it. Today, a home zoned for single family could actually mean that you have a single family, you have an ADU that can be up to 1,200 square feet, and you might even have a JADU. You might have 3 dwellings on that single family lot because of these new laws relating to ADUs. So an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit, can be up to 1,200 square feet. It can be detached. You can build one that's detached from the primary home. You could convert it. I have a garage at the back of my home. Everybody says that's a perfect candidate. You could convert that to an ADU, got a separate entryway, or an attached. So accessory dwelling units can be attached, detached, or a conversion. A JADU is a junior ADU. It has to be 500 or less square feet and attached to the primary home, have its own entrance, and you can rent that out separately. They can be rented. The newer laws say that they can be rented out. It has to be 30 days or more, but they could actually be rented out. And as long as they have a public transportation within a certain amount, I think a half mile, they don't have to have additional parking. So for junior ADU has to be attached and 500 square feet or less and have its own access. ADU can be up to 1,200 square feet. That's not the junior, just the accessory dwelling unit. Question? You can have both. You can have both. I don't. Yeah. So junior has to be, an ADU does not have to be attached. An ADU can be detached or attached or a conversion. Junior must be attached. You are allowed by law to have a junior, maybe attached, and a separate ADU. You are allowed by law to do that. So ultimately, we're talking about three residences on one property, right? So mostly what I want you all to know, and you probably know this already, but this is a good refresher, a good reminder about it. We'll send you some bullet points about the newest laws on ADUs in general, is that it's been expedited for homeowners. It's much better for homeowners, that process. If they get declined for their permit requests, again, now building and safety, building and planning, whoever they're trying to get those permits from to get those ADUs built, or a JADU, whatever it is, if they decline them, before the process was so drawn out because they would decline a permit but not maybe explain very well why, or not give direction about how to resolve it. Now they have to give direction about how to get resolution to go forward. There's a lot more direction that's required for them. Now, So that's what's in place for the last 5, 6, 7 years. That has grown in momentum, and it's really changed the landscape from single family in California now to could be multiple dwellings. I believe they can't, the height, this last law that was before the AB 1033 law, I believe the height went up to 2-story, depending on the existing dwelling height. Before, I think it was 16 feet. Yeah, I believe that the law before AB 1033 allows for, yes, a 2nd story or a higher than 16 feet, which is what was in place previous to that. I can get you some literature and send you out some more about height and minimum for ADU. I know maximum is 1,200, and I don't know if I have a minimum. I don't know if I have a minimum, but I know that maximum for JADU is 500 and maximum for ADU is 1,200 square feet. Now, what I really want to share today, because I want to make sure that you all don't give misinformation, and it would be very easy to do with this particular law. I don't know if you all have had very many conversations about this, but the law is AB 1033. January of 2024, this went into effect, and this is where you can actually take a condominium, an ADU, and convert it to be a condominium. Do you all know about that? Have you heard about it? Okay, so I'm going to share with you a little bit really quickly about understanding what that is. Everybody has different feelings about this, right? Because remember what I said a few decades ago, single family was a single family lot. You could know if you're buying a home on a street, it was going to remain single family home, single family home, single family home. It wasn't going to be essentially three units, JADU and ADU in a single family, and then JADU, ADU, single family. It wasn't going to be 9 residences in 3 lots. It was going to be 3 in 3 lots, right? So things have changed so much. So everybody has different thoughts about that for sure. And I understand that completely. And I'm not a proponent or an opponent, really. I have my own thoughts. I've never thought about converting my garage, which everybody keeps telling me, convert it to an ADU. Never thought about that until, some of these laws recently. I'm like, that's interesting. If not for my own family members, to convert it to an ADU for family members and not rent it out, or you don't have to rent them out. So the law AB 1033, what that allows, if by the way, the city opts in, this is a state law. AB 1033 is a state law. If cities choose to opt in to this law, to honor it in their city, to opt in, then this is possible. A homeowner can do this. Now, this is a relatively new law. January of 2024, I think there was potential for LA to opt in. I hadn't heard that they've opted in. I don't believe they have at this point. But if they did, this is what could happen. A homeowner that has an ADU or builds an ADU can actually do what anybody else does when they want to create a condominiums. They can create a condo plan. They could get a new parcel number, one for the original home and one for the ADU. Each one, the home and the ADU, would have a unit number, unit 1 of 2, unit 2 of 2. You would have your own little mini condo plan, essentially, is what it is by law. And you'll see here, I think it's paragraph 3, the Davis-Sterling Common Interest Development Act in state of California is how somebody goes about creating a condominium development. That law goes into play still for even a little, scenario as an ADU being converted. The primary property is still considered then another unit. It becomes a condominium as well. You can't create a condominium on the ADU and not have a single family be an ADU. I mean, a condominium, they both would be. And then the area surrounding the properties is common area. So there's remapping, there's new tax parcel numbers, but this is a real thing. By law, this law was passed. So this is very controversial. I hear some people say, no one will ever do this. Yeah, I think who would benefit would be investors.
But there's some cities that opt out.
Yeah, so the cities through California, say it again. Whittier's opted out. Okay, so some are opting out. Yeah. So we'll see how it plays out. This is too new to find out. Next year at this time, we could have a conversation and we would have a lot more information about how did it play out. But it's a law for a reason, y'all. Laws don't go into effect unless somebody was highly motivated and behind them to create a law. So it went into effect. I would say an investor who buys property ultimately creates, like any other condominiums. Lots of people have created condominiums out of small lots, turn the other one into a condo, sell them separately. But once they're sold separately, whoever buys them, they would benefit when it sells, not the original owner, because they've sold the other ADU as a condo already. They benefited one time. Now, when they sell in the future, it goes to whoever bought that condominium, that ADU. So, most important takeaway is this: can an ADU be converted into a condominium in the state of California? Potentially, it could. I had an agent tell a homeowner who asked about this California law, and she said that law would never pass here that way. And it already had passed a few months earlier. She didn't know that. So she said, thank you for mentioning it. I'm glad to know that. And I'm glad to know that it's a matter of if they opt in or not. But that is a law that passed and it does exist. That's the important part for you all to know. Mhm.
And
They have to have the owner of the, so let's say here's how it would play out. Let's say I'm an owner of a single family home and I decide, oh yeah, ADU. So there's a lot of money to be made in real estate in California. The values are so high right now. I have an ADU. Let's say I converted a garage into an ADU and it's, 1,000 square feet, whatever. And I hear about this law and I want to convert it. Maybe I don't plan on living in this area for a really long time, but I could take that ADU. I could hire an attorney who creates condos. There are attorneys that do just that. And by the way, in Texas, this is growing like crazy, ADUs to condos. It's really happening there already. But having said that, an attorney would create CC&Rs, the condo plan. They would have to be approved. There would be remapping done at the city level and new taxes done. The home and the ADU would have its own parcel number for taxes, separate taxes, and they would be sold separately. So the homeowner then could sell the ADU condo, make 500 grand or whatever, and then sell their own home for whatever, a little bit less than they would have gotten had they not. Because they're separate. They're just like condominiums. They're totally separate. So they could sell the one, they could sell the other, they can move out of the area and they don't care. If I was going to stay there, I would care because I wouldn't want to, I think it costs about 20,000, 15,000, something like that, approximately. I heard an attorney quote for creating, the process, for going through the legal process of converting from ADU to condominium. I wouldn't want to create a condo, sell it, and then I have another homeowner on my property. I would just buy a condominium if I wanted that. I want my property. I want my yard and my garage and everything for myself. I don't want to sell it separately as a dwelling. But for an investor who's not emotional about the area or doesn't care about the area maybe so much, which a lot of investors we have come to find maybe don't so much, right? They don't live there. They don't have the same concern about the culture, the community, right? Or your own personal use. If you're going to stay there as a homeowner, investor's different. So that's who I'm guessing would be the ones to benefit. I've seen many through the years, many investors buy a lot, split it, and sell them separately when they could. That's right. Just like any other condo. No, you each have your own, so you have your common area. There's going to be a condo plan. So remember, with this condo conversion, you're going to go through all the same things as any other condo creation. You have to go by this Davis-Sterling Common Interest Act. And that means that all of the area, the land is common area. Each unit would have a unit number, and that's all you would own. That's all either owner would own is, their actual unit. There would be bylaws that would have to be put in place, condo plan, I should say, CC&Rs. Well, just like so think back, so don't overthink this. Let's stick with, this is a condominium like any other condominium. It's not going to be any different because we have to comply with this Davis-Sterling Act. This ADU and home become just like if I bought, it just become two condos, just as if I bought, just as if I'm driving down the street and I see, oh, two condos are on this property, two condominiums are here, and they were built as condos from the get-go, from the very beginning. What do I own as a condo owner if I buy one of those condos? Or what if it's a building of 100 condos and I'm buying one? It's the same exact thing. So don't overthink that aspect or get off track, because when they are done with this condo conversion, it is truly a condominium like any other condominium, because they have to follow the guidelines in the state of California that are already in play for condos. They're not reinventing the wheel. They're just applying it to ADUs. It's the same exact laws. That would be they have an interest. Each owner, if you all look at a condominium legal description, let's stop for a second here and think about this. If I own a condominium, you're real estate agents, when you look at a legal description for a condominium property, what do you see? You see lot, you see a unit number, you see an undivided interest into the lot that each unit has. If there's only 2 units, then you're going to see lot unit 1 and you own unit 2. And after my legal, it says unit 1, it will say in an undivided interest, 50% undivided interest into lot 5, which is where these 2 units are on, of tract number so and so. So it's just a condominium. We share an undivided interest. Undivided interest means we each have an interest, but we can't separate. We share the land and we have an interest in it. Next time you look at a condo legal for any condominium, think about what I'm saying and imagine applying that to a single family home that has an ADU, which both become condos, both have a common area, both have CC&Rs. An HOA, by the way, has to be created. Yeah. Yeah. Well, however, the attorney, so if we get into the minutia of it, I mean, like an attorney that handles condominiums, they would give you advice. They would probably charge you 15, 20, 25,000 to go through that process with you. Ultimately, what are you going to put on your deed for percentages? How are you going to break that down? You would probably go through that discussion with an attorney. How would that be done? The condo plan itself, which has to be done because of the Davis-Sterling Act, the CC&Rs, an HOA has to be created by law. All of the things that are done for creation of a condominium, again, exactly the same for ADU to condo. Who owns the HOA? So the parties that would be the owners of the property, that would be, yeah, the 2 owners. The 2 owners would be the HOA. Yeah. So then they would have to, they could hire a management company. Right. So before we get ultimately understand the Davis-Sterling Act, what it is. The same rules apply. Some people say no one will ever do this. Trust me. In Texas right now, there is one attorney who I watched about an hour-long video. You can Google her, Texas and attorney Texas, handling ADU conversion to condominiums. And she's already done thousands of these. And you know what's really fascinating? When I hear people say this will never get done, people will never do this. Do you know what this attorney said? She said she's done thousands of these already in the state of California. Exactly this scenario, ADUs to condominiums with the whole HOA and the CC&Rs and the condo plan. She said 50% of her clients, you know who 50% of her clients were? They were from the state of California. So that was fascinating. I thought that was interesting. Might be a good one to know. So the takeaway on this conversation isn't how we're going to do it. Let's get into the nitty gritty of the percentage and all that stuff. That's not the conversation today. The conversation today is you're real estate agents. This is a real estate law. You all should at least know that this law exists. If a client asks you, did you hear that you could build my ADU, I could convert it to a condo? You don't want to laugh and say, that would never become a law like this agent that I know did. You want to say, yes, AB 1033 says if a city opts in, someone could do it. But, not all cities will opt in, number one. And there is a cost for it. It is the Sterling Davis Act process. It could be 15, 20, 25,000. As of when I last checked, I didn't even see cities opting out, but we're hearing Whittier has opted out. So, and okay, yeah. So new laws, as I always say when I come and talk about laws, new laws, the fascinating thing about new laws is they are almost always challenged, just like Prop 19 is getting challenged or was getting challenged. We'll see challenges on it. We'll talk about this next spring or next summer again. By then, we'll know who's opting in, who's opting out. We'll have a lot more information. It's relatively new because of how dynamic it is. It's not going to be something that happens quickly, and it will have challenges like SB 9, which I won't talk about today, but that's getting challenged. Yes. I think a lot with the ADU condo. With ADUs, I don't think there is now. I think that there was in the past. With the ADU condo, I don't know. I'm not certain. There may be. We can get, again, more literature for you. And the building and planning or building and safety for each area, once the city has opted in, if it's ADU to condo, they'll certainly give guidance. But no matter what you're doing, building an ADU with thoughts of condo, you always want to talk to building and safety, building and planning, talk to an attorney, and get some advice, particularly on the condo aspect of it. But again, it's so new. More than anything, just remember it exists. If you know that it exists, you're way ahead of a lot of agents because you won't. We always want to know a little bit more than our clients do when it comes to real estate. You as real estate agents, I would guess, always want to know a little bit more than your client. You know what your client telling you? Did you hear the news from January about real estate? You don't want them telling you that. You want to tell them. So Prop 19, it was brought in so much, was going to be repealed. It's not on the ballot. That's not happening anytime soon. Be aware of that. Protect yourself on the parent to child portion of that law, you know, drawing deeds, et cetera. Protect yourself. It has a lot of legal ramifications. And then know about AB 1033 condominiums. It's fascinating. If nothing else, it's a fascinating conversation. May end up going nowhere. We'll see what happens with it. Thanks for letting me share something with you today. I appreciate you all.
Oh, thank you, Tracy. You're always welcome.
You guys, for ADUs, especially for the city of Whittier and other cities, you can go to the city planning department. They have spec sheets. So I know for the city of Whittier, there's 3 specs. You pull those sheets, give that to your contractor. Most of the work's already done. It sets up everything. You don't have to do too much research.
So much easier now. Everything is so much easier relating to ADUs in general.
Some cities have spec sheets. Whittier's not the only one, so you could have your clients look into their spec sheet. If they follow those spec sheets, slam dunk. When the consumer gets a little creative, then you're going to open the door a little bit.
Yeah.
Have a great Monday. Remember
All right,
the
everybody.
number
Thank you.
8.
Thank you. Bye, Sonia. See you later. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Brown, you guys have to write it everywhere.
Hi there.